Texas food is one of the easiest American cuisines to recognize, and one of the easiest to misunderstand. Outsiders see a giant steak, a rack of ribs, a bowl of queso, or a breakfast taco, and think they have the whole story. They do not. Texas food is not one thing. It is border food, cattle food, black barbecue tradition, German and Czech immigrant food, Tejano home cooking, drugstore soda fountain history, highway bakery culture, ranch food, church supper food, and Friday night football food. It is also one of the most argued about food cultures in America. Number 5 is the breakfast pastry many Texans call by the wrong name. Number 3 became so famous that most restaurants forgot what the word originally meant. And number 1 turned San Antonio plazas into one of the first great public food scenes in the country. These are 10 Texas foods outsiders always get wrong. Number 10. Dr. Pepper. Outsiders often treat Dr. Pepper like just another soda. In Texas, that is already the wrong starting point. Dr. Pepper is part of the old soda fountain world, and its story begins in Waco in the 1880s at Morrison's Old Corner drugstore. Charles Alderton, a pharmacist working there, is widely credited with creating the drink that would become Dr. Pepper. It was first sold in Waco beginning in 1885, which makes it one of the oldest major soft drink brands in the United States. That matters because Dr. Pepper does not come from the same cultural place as a modern convenience store soda wall. It comes from the world of drugstores, counters, syrups, carbonation, and small-town customers trying something new at the fountain. The flavor was strange from the beginning. It was not cola, it was not root beer, it was not fruit soda in a simple way. Even now, people describe it in guesses: cherry, spice, almond, medicine, vanilla, cola, something else. Nobody quite agrees, and that is part of why it lasted. For Texans, Dr. Pepper is not only a drink, it is a native-born brand. It is Waco history. It is a glass bottle in a small grocery. It is a fountain drink at a diner. It is the soda that shows up at cookouts, barbecue joints, football games, and family refrigerators without needing an explanation. So the mistake outsiders make is thinking Dr. Pepper is just a flavor. In Texas, it is a place. Number 9. Frito pie. Frito pie looks simple enough to dismiss. Open a bag of Fritos, add chili, cheese, onions, maybe jalapenos, and eat it with a spoon. To an outsider, it can look like stadium food or a school concession stand shortcut. But Frito pie sits on top of a very Texas snack food story. Fritos themselves were born in San Antonio in 1932 when C.E. Doolin bought a small fried corn chip business from Gustavo Olguin. The deal included a recipe, equipment, and retail accounts. Doolin and his family began making the chips in his mother's kitchen, and the Frito company soon followed. That origin matters because Frito pie is not just a random pile of junk food. It is Texas corn chips meeting Texas chili culture. It is portable, cheap, crunchy, salty, and built for places where people eat while standing up. Football games, fairs, rodeos, school events, little league fields, and small-town concession windows. The exact birthplace of Frito pie is debated, and different places claim it. That is why the safer truth is bigger than one origin story. Texas helped create the chip. Texas already had chili. And Texans understood immediately that a bag could become a bowl if you were practical enough. That is what outsiders miss. Frito pie is not trying to be elegant. It is trying to solve a problem. How do you serve something hot, filling, and memorable in a place where nobody is sitting down for a formal meal? The answer is a corn chip bag, a ladle of chili, and no apology. Number 8. Pecan pie. Pecan pie gets treated like a generic southern dessert. Texas hears that and raises an eyebrow. The pecan tree is deeply tied to the state. It is native across much of Texas. It became the official state tree in 1919, and pecan pie became the official state pie in 2013. That does not mean Texas invented every pecan pie. Pecan pie belongs to a wider Southern and American dessert tradition, and syrup-based versions became nationally familiar in the 20th century. But Texas has a special claim because the pecan itself is part of the land, not just the pantry. Before pecans were folded into holiday pies, they were gathered, traded, eaten, and valued. Native people used pecans long before state symbols existed. Later, pecan trees became part of yards, river bottoms, farms, commercial orchards, and family recipes. That is why pecan pie means something different in Texas. It is not only sweet filling in a crust, it is the state tree turned into dessert. A good Texas pecan pie can start arguments. Some people want the pecans chopped, some want them in halves, some want corn syrup, some want a darker filling, some want bourbon, some want chocolate nowhere near it, some want it warm, some cold, some with vanilla ice cream, and some believe adding anything is already suspicious. That is how you know a dessert has become family property. Outsiders get pecan pie wrong when they treat it as just a Thanksgiving sweet. In Texas, pecan pie is memory, land, shade trees, river valleys, holiday tables, and state pride in one slice.
Number 7. Chicken fried steak. The first mistake is in the name. Chicken fried steak is not chicken. It is beef, usually a tougher cut, tenderized, breaded, fried, and covered with cream gravy. The name comes from the method, not the meat. It is steak treated the way fried chicken is treated. The second mistake is thinking it is just a giant fried novelty. Chicken fried steak comes from a much older and more practical food idea. Take a tough piece of meat and make it edible, filling, and satisfying. Breading and frying were not only about indulgence. They were about survival, texture, and turning less desirable cuts into dinner. Its origin is debated. Some food historians connect it to German and Austrian schnitzel traditions brought by immigrants. Others point to Southern frying methods. Texas has its own stories, including the La Mesa legend of an accidental 1911 invention by a short-order cook. The important thing is not proving one perfect origin. The important thing is that Texas made chicken fried steak into a staple. It belongs on diner plates, cafe menus, ranch tables, and old roadside restaurants. The gravy is not optional in spirit. Mashed potatoes make sense beside it. The best versions are crisp on the outside, tender inside, and covered in peppery cream gravy that tastes like the skillet was not wasted. Outsiders get it wrong when they treat chicken fried steak like a dare. For Texans, it is comfort food built from economy. It is the answer to a hard day's work, a tough cut of beef, and the belief that enough skill with flour, fat, and gravy can make almost anything worth eating. Number 6. Chile con queso. Outsiders call it cheese dip. Texans call it queso, and they mean much more than melted cheese. Chile con queso has a complicated history, with Mexican cheese dishes, Texas restaurants, processed American cheese, canchiles, community cookbooks, and Tex-Mex dining all tangled together. Early Texas references appear in San Antonio restaurant and cookbook culture in the early 20th century, and over time queso became one of the signature pleasures of Tex-Mex. The mistake outsiders make is thinking queso is just nacho cheese. It is not. At its simplest, queso is melted cheese with chiles. But in Texas, it became a table ritual. It comes out before the meal. It gathers people around chips. It appears at Tex-Mex restaurants, game day parties, cookouts, family gatherings, and weeknight dinners where nobody wants to pretend the appetizer is secondary. There are many versions. Some are built around processed cheese and tomatoes with green chiles. Some are restaurant queso with a smoother, richer base. Some are white. Some are yellow. Some have beef, guacamole, pico de gallo, or a famous name attached to them. Some are closer to queso fundido. Some are not trying to be authentic to Mexico at all, because Tex-Mex is its own thing. That last part matters. Queso is often misunderstood because people judge it by the wrong standard. It is not trying to be an old Mexican village recipe. It is Texas borderlands food shaped by restaurants, home kitchens, processed food, chili peppers, and American abundance. It is messy history in a bowl. And in Texas, that bowl is usually empty before anyone admits they ate most of it. Number 5. Kolaches and klobasniki. This is the one where many Texans are technically wrong and emotionally correct. Across Texas, especially in Czech-settled parts of the state, people stop at bakeries and donut shops for what they call kolaches. Some are sweet pastries filled with fruit, poppy seed, or cheese. Others are savory rolls stuffed with sausage, cheese, and jalapenos. The sweet ones are kolaches. The savory sausage ones are more properly called klobasniki, or klobasnik in the singular. But in everyday Texas speech, many people call both of them kolaches. That confusion tells a whole immigration story. Czech immigrants brought kolach traditions to Texas in the 19th century. In Czech communities, sweet-filled pastries became part of church events, family tables, weddings, festivals, and weekend baking. Over time, Texas created its own savory cousin, sausage wrapped in soft yeasted dough. Perfect for breakfast, road trips, and gas station bakery cases. That is why outsiders get this food wrong in two directions. Some people think a Texas kolach is just a pig in a blanket. It is not. Others insist so hard on the correct word that they miss the living Texas habit. The real story is both: the language is messy, and the food is beloved. A sweet kolach carries Czech baking tradition. A klobasnik carries Texas adaptation. And the highway bakery case carries both into modern life. If you have ever driven through central Texas and stopped for a warm sausage pastry and coffee, you know the feeling. It is not fancy. It is not delicate. It is breakfast you can eat in a truck before the day starts. That is how immigrant pastry became Texas road food. Number 4. Breakfast tacos. Outside Texas, people often ask why it is not just a breakfast burrito. That question is how Texans know you are not from around there. A breakfast taco is smaller, simpler, and more direct. A tortilla holds eggs, potatoes, cheese, bacon, chorizo, beans, brisket, barbacoa, or whatever the morning needs. It is not supposed to be overstuffed into a giant cylinder. It is breakfast made portable without becoming heavy. The roots go back to Mexican and Tejano home cooking, where tortillas were everyday food and could hold almost anything on the table. In Texas, that tradition met Anglo-German breakfast ingredients like eggs, bacon, sausage, and yellow cheese, and the breakfast taco became one of the state's great morning foods. No single city owns the whole story. Corpus Christi, San Antonio, Austin, the Rio Grande Valley, and many other Texas communities all have their claims, memories, and styles. Austin helped make the phrase and modern obsession famous. San Antonio has deep taco culture. South Texas has roots that run far older than trend pieces. That is why outsiders get breakfast tacos wrong when they treat them as a fad. They are not a brunch invention. They are working food. They are school morning food. They are construction site food. They are gas station food when the station knows what it is doing. They are office food, hangover food, road trip food, and the thing you bring when you want everyone in the room to forgive you for being late. A breakfast taco does not need to be complicated to be perfect. Egg, potato, cheese, salsa. That can be enough. And in Texas, enough is sometimes exactly the point. Number 3. Fajitas. Fajitas may be the most misunderstood Tex-Mex food in America. Today, the word can mean almost anything that arrives sizzling: chicken, shrimp, vegetables, steak strips, peppers, onions, tortillas, sour cream, guacamole, and a dramatic cloud of steam crossing the dining room. But originally, fajitas referred much more specifically to skirt steak. The word is tied to faja, meaning belt or strip, and the dish grew from ranch and border food traditions where skirt steak was a less prized cut. Workers and families knew how to marinate it, grill it, slice it, and eat it with tortillas. There are older Mexican roots too, especially aracaras, grilled skirt steak traditions in northern Mexico. So the correct story is not that one Houston restaurant invented fajitas from nothing. The better story is that Texas popularized them. In the 1970s, people like Sonny Falcon and restaurants like Ninfa's in Houston helped turn fajitas into a Tex-Mex phenomenon. Ninfa Lorenzo's served tacos al carbon that helped introduce countless diners to grilled skirt steak wrapped in tortillas. Soon the idea spread far beyond Houston and the Rio Grande Valley. Then restaurants did what restaurants do. They expanded it. Chicken fajitas, shrimp fajitas, combo fajitas, vegetable fajitas, sizzling platters. Suddenly fajitas were not just a cut of beef. They were a whole performance. That is what outsiders get wrong. They think the sizzling platter is the origin. It is really the commercial echo. The heart of fajitas is tougher meat made delicious through heat, seasoning, smoke, acid, and tortillas. It is a working cut turned into a restaurant star. Texas did not create every piece of that story, but Texas made America hear the sizzle. Number 2. Texas barbecue brisket. Outsiders often think Texas barbecue means sauce. That is the fastest way to start trouble. Texas barbecue is not one single style, but the version that became most famous, especially Central Texas brisket, is built around smoke, beef, salt, pepper, thyme, and restraint. Sauce may exist, but it is not the point. The history is layered. German and Czech immigrants helped shape Central Texas meat market barbecue, where smoked meats were sold by the pound on butcher paper. Black barbecue traditions shaped East Texas and the broader culture of pit cooking. Mexican barbacoa traditions influenced South Texas. Cattle country made beef central in a way pork could never fully dominate. That is why brisket became the Texas icon. Brisket is not an easy cut. It is tough, heavy, and unforgiving. Cook it too fast and it punishes you. Smoke it low and slow with patience and skill, and it becomes tender, rich, and deeply flavored. That transformation is the point. Texas barbecue built a whole culture around patience. You wait in line. The meat waits in smoke. The pit master waits for texture, not just temperature. Then it is sliced, laid on paper, and served with pickles, onions, bread, sausage, maybe beans, maybe potato salad, maybe nothing else if the brisket is doing its job. Outsiders get Texas brisket wrong when they bury it in sauce or treat it like generic barbecue. In Central Texas especially, brisket is about the meat proving itself. The bark matters. The smoke ring matters less than people think, but people still talk about it. The fat has to render. The slice has to bend. And the first bite should explain why a tough piece of beef became one of the most worshipped foods in America. Number 1. Chili con carne. No Texas food argument is more famous than chili. And no Texas food is more misunderstood. Outsiders usually run straight to the bean debate. Beans or no beans? Tomatoes or no tomatoes? Ground beef or chunks? Bowl or topping? Competition chili or home chili? Everyone has an opinion, and many of them are loud. But the deeper story of Texas chili is not only about ingredients. It is about San Antonio. In the late 19th century, San Antonio's chili queens helped make chili con carne famous as public food. These women served chili, tamales, enchiladas, beans, coffee, and other foods from open-air stands and city plazas. Locals ate there. Tourists came looking for the experience. Music, smoke, lanterns, tables, and bowls of chili turned the plazas into a food scene long before America had a word for pop-ups. Chili con carne also helped carry Tex-Mex beyond Texas. At the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago, visitors encountered San Antonio chili, and the dish kept spreading through cookbooks, restaurants, chili powder, canned chili, diners, and home kitchens. That is why chili belongs at number 1. It is not just a bowl of meat and chili. It is one of the foods that taught America to crave Tex-Mex flavor. The chili queens are essential because they showed that Texas food was never only cowboy food. It was also women's labor, Tejano entrepreneurship, public markets, and borderland cooking made visible to the wider country. When outsiders reduced chili to a bean argument, they missed the real history. The question is not only what belongs in the pot. The question is who served it, where people ate it, and how a San Antonio street food tradition became a national obsession. Texas chili carries heat, pride, conflict, and memory. It can be cheap food, competition food, diner food, tailgate food, or family food. It can start arguments before the spoon hits the bowl. And that is exactly why it matters. Texas food is not easy to define because Texas itself is not simple. It is Mexican and American, Southern and Western, immigrant and indigenous, rural and urban, old-fashioned and commercial, humble and loud. That is why outsiders keep getting it wrong. They look for one Texas flavor. But Texas was never one flavor. It was always a whole table.